This week we didn't by any means jazz up the open road, but really had a nice average test drive behind this week's ride. More specifically, the 2019 Chevy Equinox. Now I say it with an average approach because, well, it just blended in so well. And right now with all the competition doing so much to, well, add wow factor to an otherwise straightforward segment, this actually seems to be the right fit. So maybe my complaint department has finally caught up with me, because as of late, when I describe this segment, pretty much all the offerings are chiseled up, too jazzed up, too much wow factor. So the Equinox arrives and was pretty much a plain Jane. Now I'm not complaining here, it's just an average take on the smaller sport ute, and you can see it on the profile. Very straight lines, very tight body, barely any throws here at the four corners, barely even a hint line right through here. Only dressed up with a hint of chrome right around here, coupled nicely with a black accent, chrome across the top. But other than that, that's about the only dressing up on this exterior that you're going to find. So you could say I'm picking a theme for these latest shows, and for the Equinox, average of course is where we began and continue when it comes to overall size. Now what you're going to see is a decent, just falling short of a mid-size sedan or mid-size SUV. This vehicle around about 183 inches. Wheelbase stretch fairly decent, about 107. Now as for height, about 65 inches and 6 feet wide. But a big number that seemed to be well above average was the ground clearance. Now this is a front wheel drive version. It's going to be around about 7.6 inches of ground clearance. But as you step up to the all-wheel drive with 17-inch wheels, well, that's going to be 7.9 inches. Now if you want to gain just a little bit more, step up to 18-inch wheels, that's going to give you a nice ground clearance of 8 inches. And compared to some of the competition that's keeping these vehicles more like sedans, this is going to give you a little bit more of a commanding view. So with the straightforward profile, one thing I didn't expect was to have a huge amount of grille warfare, and the Equinox delivered equally here in the front when it came to plain Jane styling. Now certainly the grille is dressed up with kind of this chrome wraparound and a two-tier approach when it comes to kind of the grille accents. Now this is where all the breathing goes on, all the air flows through. This is simply just for look. Everywhere else, body color and some nice stylized headlight cylinder approach. Of course, all under one aggressive lens, and some bedazzled lighting and lower lighting down below. Now you will find that kind of lower fascia we saw on the side wrapping around, of course, in that black color. There's nothing wrong with being average, and the Equinox should not be overshadowed for delivering just that, but the vehicle does go above and beyond in certain aspects. Now I mentioned the ground clearance, to me above average. Another great point is the smart key system on this vehicle. Now first off is pretty much the design. GM is really doing a good job at making these nice and sleek, and this one has lots of operation, unlocking the vehicle, remote start, even a double click for the rear power hatch. But the best part of the smart key system is pretty much here at the door. I've mentioned the competition. What they deliver is simple access buttons here at the front, none for the second row. Equinox goes above and beyond, pretty much delivering that access point, of course, on the four doors and naturally there at the rear hatch. What I like is really easy to use. Just simply press one time, unlocks this door, press it again, unlocks all the rest. That same technology transcended here to the back. Press it one time, walk away, it's locked up. If it's raining, need to drop some things here in the back, real easy, press there, opens with ease. Really helps with ingress for the whole entire family, or again, just getting inside this vehicle. So for small sport utilities like this, what is the above average advantage? Simply being able to deliver 4 or 5 people in a pinch with cargo. Sedans of this size and even some of the competition when it comes to the SUVs just aren't capable of this much offering. And it all starts again with a straightforward design, nice squared off lines, that compared to some of the curvaceousness that really creeps into the cargo. But first off, let's look at the design. Body color all the way around, basic straightforward rear taillights, huge bank of glass giving you plenty of rear vision. But what's going to help with that, of course, is the backup camera and backup sensors. Now this particular model is a power rear hatch, making life so much simpler. Again, interact with the key fob or just simply hit the button there. Now some of the vehicles on the market today have the old motion detector here that allows the vehicle to lift. But what I like on some of the other competition is simply the ability to stand here at the back. It senses you're there. After about 3 seconds, it's going to give you an audible alarm, let you know this is about to rise to the occasion. That passive approach just seems a little bit simpler versus me doing the old dance, trying to figure out the best way to get it to automatically lift. Now, getting past that, really it's all about what lies in here. And really what you're going to see is decent cargo, around about 29 cubic feet with the second row as you see it, and really nice squared off lines with only a creeping into the rear cargo right about here. That means pretty much any huge box has to sit about there and move forward. Now, with all the rear seating laid flat, that's going to more than double the space to around about 63 cubic feet. Now, one feature you're not going to see on this particular model is a rear tonneau cover. It goes into place here, extends out, really helps secure visually what's in your cargo. Now, what I also like are these outer niches. Now, it seems simple, but what that is pretty much making those extra long packages fit in with ease. Specifically, golf clubs would easily fit in here, no brainer. On that side, you're going to find 2 handles there on the sidewall that really drop those rear seats with ease and make for a nice seamless rear cargo. But what I truly like is what's beneath here. Now, this is a real easy, nice, sturdy rear cargo floor. Really extends up, has a lower compartment, goes even further. It's locked into place, but simply pull it up. Really has tons of lower beneath cargo. Now, even below that is a nice modest spare there should you need it. Before we swing around to the front, talk about the good old power plant option of this vehicle. One thing I do like about this rear hatch is the overall height. Now, it's because of the ground clearance and, well, just the extension of this rear hatch getting up out of the way. Now, I'm over 6 feet tall, no head banging affair any way I come and approach this rear cargo. Now, there is a button here for this powered option here on the rear hatch. Now, it could be a problem for the vertically challenged. Some of the competition and other vehicles are putting it here on the back pillar, but not to be the case here. But just simply press it, it's going to power out of the way. Now, when it comes to power plants, what's above average for the Equinox are the offerings. It's not just one, but actually several. Now, specifically what we're going to see is a 1.5 liter turbocharged engine on the base model. It's going to deliver around about 170 horses and 203 foot-pounds of torque. Now, for the as tested, that was a 2.0 liter turbocharged. That's 252 horses and 260 foot-pounds of torque. Now, you can go with, well, a 1.6 liter turbo diesel option. That's going to give you modest horses, around about 137, but better foot-pounds of torque at around about 240. Now, all of that said, what you can do when properly equipped is tow your toys. That's going to be around about 3,500 pound capacity. While I may have been a little harsh on the outside, pretty much calling it average, one area where Equinox truly steps up is on the inside. Not just about overall ergonomics, but first off, about legroom. Now, what you're going to find in the front is around about 40 inches, but the most impressive part is the second row. Only losing an inch, around about 39 inches. Now, try to do that on a sedan, just not going to happen. So while the outside may have been somewhat straightforward, the inside certainly above average, and it starts right here at the infotainment and climate cluster. Now, first thing you'll notice really is a huge touchscreen system, dual zones up front, and the fact that it really interacts between the two options. Now, what I also like is look right here. This is kind of an innovative approach. Really nice glance at the fan speed. Really, when you take it down, the illumination goes away. As you increase, that's just a nice interactive. Now, did they have to go that route since it was here? Certainly not. Now, looking at the screen up above, GM really does a good job with their touchscreen system. Really easy to use, everything right there, obviously an arm stretch away. Now, what you're going to find is the home screen really split with navigation, entertainment, and your phone if you have it connected, but simply press on one of them, it's going to zoom in. And this is really where it's jazzed up, in my opinion, on GMs compared to some of the competition where they go pretty much straight forward on their designs. What we're going to see, really easy to use, sources there on the left side, presets across the top. Now, if you go to the home screen again, this is where you can find all the various functionality, the shortcuts, really easy to navigate. Now, going down to the bottom, again, this is the climate control system, interacts again with the screen up above. That's going to be helpful if you're driving. Really don't have to glance down here, just grab a knob, turn it, you'll be able to see up above what the temperature setting is. Now, what you'll also see is the fan speeds done with this here. Not too bad. I really prefer a symmetric knob that really matches these here right in this area. But again, mode select, everything really easy to use. Now, one little side note, I did use this at one point. This screen up here did freeze, did not mimic what was going on down below, but simply when I did restart the vehicle, this reset itself. So that could just be a thing that gets a little quirky sometimes. Now, between the front pilots, what you're going to find is dual cup holders and the good old automatic gear shifter. Now, for this 2.0, that's going to be a 9-speed automatic. For the other two power plants, that's going to be versions of the 6-speed. Now, for connectivity, what you're going to find is really down here low on the dash in the form of USB and a USB auxiliary jack and a good old power supply. Now, one thing I wish is that this right here was one of the wireless charging systems. Nice place to really store your phone, but easy, of course, to connect via a cord. Between the front occupants, you will find a nice elevated center console. Not real cushiony, but does have a little bit of support. Now, when it swings up out of the way, you will find this nice upper tray that can be removed. Once you do, you can see a little bit better in here. 2 USB connections, but a nice deep storage area and a nice light for illumination. You'd be surprised how many center consoles don't offer that. For the gauge cluster, you will find an analog tach and speedometer, but a nice digital readout in the middle. Gives you tons of information, but again, the best part being the digital readout for speed. Even better, it does give you the current speed in the area you're going there on the left side in the form of a speed limit sign. Just some other above average technology here on the inside of the Equinox. Now, I mentioned earlier about the vertically challenged issue there at the rear hatch, but obviously GM thinks of everything, and they have a nice control knob there to kind of lower the overall height to again be an equal opportunist to almost every individual. When it comes to overall comfort for the second row, what you're going to find is a pretty much straightforward rear bench, a little bit of cushion to it, and decent overall width for a third person to be able to find their space there in the middle. Now, if you do only have 2 people in the back, you do have the option for pull down some nice elbow support. It does have dual cup holders as well, and what I like is it's nice and elevated. Some of the cheaper ways to do it, some of the competition is simply just laying it here on the bottom of the cushion. This just taking your elbow support to another height. Now, one last thing is airflow, and what I do like is anytime there's some vents, really directing air quicker to the back passengers. Lastly, connectivity in the form of 2 USBs. And that's going to do it for this edition of Road Warrior and a test drive behind the wheel of the 2019 Chevy Equinox. This one being the front wheel drive. Don't forget, there are 3 power plant options plus all-wheel drive as well. And with all those combinations, this vehicle isn't just average, but does have some, well, talking points that take it to the next level. What I truly liked is it's pretty much a straight shooter. Gave me a decent ride, great ground clearance, and really great comfort there on the inside. And not to mention, plenty of cargo to boot. Now, as always, thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior. Keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.